I couldn't believe what was happening. One minute, I'm walking through a neighborhood on my day off, legally open carrying as I always do. The next, an overzealous HOA patrol officer is trying to put me under citizen's arrest. At first, I thought it was a joke. I mean, really, trying to cuff the sheriff of the county. But it got serious fast. He was shouting about rules and ordinances, waving around a clipboard like it was a badge, and demanding I hand over my firearm. I kept calm, trying to explain the law, but he wasn't having it. Neighbors started coming out of their houses, phones recording, whispering, wondering why someone in uniform was being confronted like a criminal. The tension kept building, and I could see this wasn't going to end with just a conversation. It wasn't just about open carry anymore. It became clear this guy had something to prove. I had a decision to make: escalate and show him exactly who he was dealing with, or de-escalate and protect everyone from a much bigger scene. Either way, this HOA patrol was about to get a reality check he'd never forget. And just when I thought it couldn't get any crazier, something happened that completely flipped the situation. Now, a little background so you can understand how crazy this was. This wasn't just some random patrol guy doing his job. This was a neighborhood enforcer who had a reputation. Folks around here talked about him like he was some kind of self-appointed sheriff. Complaints had piled up for months, harassing residents over mailbox flags being left up, threatening fines for grass being half an inch too tall, even trying to tell people where they could park in their own driveways. I had heard the stories, but seeing it up close was something else. As he kept barking orders at me, I noticed he had no real badge, no firearm, nothing official except that clipboard and a radio clipped to his belt. He was operating on pure ego. Still, the crowd was growing, and people were starting to get nervous. Some were whispering, others recording, a few even asking if they should call the real police, which again was ironic because, well, I was the police. I stayed calm, one hand resting lightly near my belt, making sure not to make any sudden moves. The last thing I wanted was for this to spiral into something it didn't need to be. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted something, or rather, someone, moving fast toward us, and that's when things really took a wild turn. I shifted my stance slightly as the figure came closer. It was another HOA patrol officer, younger, maybe early 20s, jogging over like he was rushing to back up his buddy. He was gripping a clipboard too, but looked a lot less confident, his eyes darting between me and the growing crowd. You could tell he knew something wasn't right, but didn't want to step out of line. The first patrol guy, still shouting about violations and dangerous behavior, waved him over and started giving loud instructions, trying to make it seem like they were making an official arrest. Meanwhile, neighbors were getting more involved. One older man kept repeating, "He's the sheriff. I know him." But the patrol officer wouldn't listen. A woman across the street called out that open carry was legal in our state, trying to bring some sense into the situation, but it was like the patrol guy was too far gone in his own authority trip. I caught snippets of people on the phone, some calling 911, others texting family. It felt like the whole neighborhood was holding its breath. Even the young backup officer looked torn, glancing at me with wide, uncertain eyes. I had to wonder, was he about to make a big mistake trying to impress his boss? Or was he realizing just how deep they were digging themselves? And then a black SUV turned the corner, and everything paused for a split second before the chaos kicked up another level. The black SUV rolled up slowly, windows tinted so dark you couldn't see who was inside. It pulled right up to the scene, engine rumbling low, like something out of a movie. For a second, even the loudmouth HOA patrol guy seemed unsure, glancing nervously at the vehicle. I stayed where I was, steady, not wanting to give anyone the wrong idea. In a situation like this, one wrong move, even just a quick gesture, could send everything spinning out of control. The door swung open, and a man in a suit stepped out. Not HOA, not police, private security maybe. He looked sharp, serious, and clearly knew exactly what he was walking into. Without hesitation, he walked straight toward the patrol officer, ignoring the crowd, the shouting, even me standing there in full uniform. You could feel a tension crackling in the air. Every neighbor had their phones up now, recording every second. The patrol guy stiffened up, tried to regain his authority, started rambling again about property rules and unauthorized firearms. The man in the suit cut him off with a firm hand gesture, like he was done playing games. I could tell this wasn't someone here to back up the patrol. This guy had real authority, and he wasn't impressed. Before anyone could say another word, 2 more vehicles turned onto the street, flashing red and blue lights bouncing off the houses. That's when it all came to a boiling point. The flashing lights flooded the whole street in red and blue, and you could feel the energy shift instantly. The HOA patrol guy froze mid-sentence, clipboard dropping to his side. His backup officer looked like he wanted to disappear. The man in the suit took a step back, crossing his arms, almost like he was waiting for the real show to start. And oh, it was just getting started. 2 sheriff's deputies hopped out of the first cruiser, hands resting near their belts, eyes scanning the scene. I recognized both of them. Good guys, solid officers who knew the law inside and out. The second vehicle wasn't from our department, though. It was from a neighboring city's police force. That raised my eyebrows. What were they doing here? One of the city cops marched right over, speaking into his radio, glancing between me, the patrol officers, and the crowd. The HOA guy immediately rushed toward him, spouting off about unregistered firearms, dangerous individuals, and citizens' arrest. He didn't realize he had just thrown gasoline on the fire. The city cop, without missing a beat, asked him point blank, "Do you even know who that is?" The HOA patrol guy stumbled over his words, starting to realize maybe, just maybe, he had picked the wrong fight today. But before anyone could clear the air, the officer's radio crackled to life with a message that made every cop on that street turn serious, and that's when everything took an even darker turn. The radio crackled louder this time, and the voice coming through was clear and sharp. "Be advised, possible armed suspect matching HOA patrol description reported earlier today." Everyone froze, but it wasn't me they were talking about. All eyes suddenly snapped to the main HOA patrol officer, the one who had been trying to arrest me. The man in the suit stepped forward again, flashing a badge. Private investigator, licensed and working with local law enforcement. Turns out there had been a string of impersonations in the area, people posing as security and HOA enforcers to intimidate homeowners. And this guy was now the prime suspect. The 2 sheriff's deputies approached him carefully, instructing him to put down the clipboard and keep his hands visible. You could see the patrol guy's face drain of all color. He stammered something about just doing his job, but it was clear he had no legal authority, no certification, not even a proper HOA contract backing him. Meanwhile, the young backup officer dropped his clipboard and stepped away, hands raised, clearly realizing he had been pulled into something way bigger than he ever signed up for. All eyes suddenly snapped to the main HOA patrol officer, the one who had been trying to arrest me. The man in the suit stepped forward again, flashing a badge. Private investigator, licensed and working with local law enforcement. Turns out there had been a string of impersonations in the area, people posing as security and HOA enforcers to intimidate homeowners. And this guy was now the prime suspect. The 2 sheriff's deputies approached him carefully, instructing him to put down the clipboard and keep his hands visible. You could see the patrol guy's face drain of all color. He stammered something about just doing his job, but it was clear he had no legal authority, no certification, not even a proper HOA contract backing him. Meanwhile, the young backup officer dropped his clipboard and stepped away, hands raised, clearly realizing he had been pulled into something way bigger than he ever signed up for. I stood still, watching as they cuffed the so-called patrol officer right there on the street he thought he controlled. The crowd was dead silent, phones still rolling. Just as I was about to turn and leave, thinking the madness was over, The man in the suit caught up to me and said something that hit harder than anything that had happened that day. "Sheriff, he wasn't working alone.